I was enjoying a delicious espresso on the outside tables of this little cafe on the main street the other day when two kids came up to me and my girlfriend to ask for money. Two girls who can't have been more than 8 or 9. I had a bit of spare change rattling about, so I sent them each away with a handful of shrapnel, surely no more than a couple of quid. No sooner had they started off down the street than another two girls ran up to our table with their hands out, repeating over and over, "Please some pennies, please some pennies," well, in Bulgarian. And these two children were younger and scruffier than the previous ones. They must have been about 5 years old max, and looked somehow more in need than the girls which I had given money to, with their ripped dresses and dirty faces. This situation made me feel all sorts of different ways. First of all, I found it quite funny and almost laughed at the speed with which they replaced their peers. Honestly, I don't know where they came from, like perhaps they were hiding behind the nearby bush, lying in wait to see if the older ones would be successful, and if they were, then that would mean that they had hit the jackpot. I wonder what would have happened if I had had enough money to give something to the 5-year-olds. Would a couple of babies have come crawling out? But looking back now, I see how well this highlights the scale of a lot of problems that we face in the world, and the futile nature of the ineffectual gestures we make as normal people trying our best to help out. I could have had a magical wallet which had an endless supply of coins, and I still wouldn't have given to all the infant panhandlers in town. And if I had, they would just be back again tomorrow. This was a stark and immediate illustration of how we do what we can and we think we're helping when we really aren't scratching the surface. We aren't even putting a plaster over the gaping and oozing wound. When the two younger kids came up, they wouldn't go away. For like a minute, they were begging at the table, although I had nothing for them. They wouldn't listen to us when we said no, so the only thing we could do was to ignore them, to literally turn the other cheek to them, to pretend they weren't there. This made me feel really grotty inside, to be honest. Like I was a terrible person, even though I had just done what I thought was a good thing by giving some money to the other girls. Eventually, my girlfriend got all parental and firmly shouted at them to go away, saying we had no money. Me feeling guilty in this situation is a little bit illogical, to be honest, and it doesn't solve anything. I mainly feel sorry for these kids who are in this situation. They didn't ask to be brought into a world where their parents knew they weren't going to be able to look after them. These aren't children coming from families who were well off and fell on hard times. Their parents are probably begging themselves, living from hand to mouth, barely got a roof over their heads. They know that they aren't going to be capable of providing any kids they have with the care they need and deserve, so why have them? These children are born into serious poverty and will most likely live most of their lives struggling to survive day to day. Does that mean they can't have moments of happiness and joy? No, of course not, but these are going to be few and far between. And this brings me to the second overriding emotion I feel about this situation: anger. No, I'm not angry because I wasn't able to enjoy my coffee in peace without being reminded of the inequality in this world. I feel anger at the parents who don't appear to give a second thought of what kind of life they will be able to give their children, who only seem to think about themselves, about the cultural norms that exist amongst their community, of the benefits they will get from the government. I'm angry at a society that allows this kind of situation to exist, that a child who should be enjoying the most joyful, innocent and carefree years of their life instead have to spend their days going from table to table, person to person, pleading for something they don't really understand yet, seeing these people who are seemingly able to eat and enjoy themselves effortlessly turn their heads away time and time again, often without so much as a word, growing up to feel that they are invisible, that no one truly cares about them. I'm angry that I contributed to that. I'm angry that I will have to do the same thing again.